That's very popular in the fitness world today, and that's completely different from what we believe actually here at Solid Rock, because if you're always changing things up, varying things, people use the word muscle confusion. Muscle confusion is not a real thing.
Are you a busy adult who struggles to find time to prioritize their health? Maybe you want to increase your energy. Maybe you want more confidence. Maybe you want to lose weight. Here at Solid Rock Personal Training, our 45-minute training sessions are simple and fun to help you look good, move well, and feel great so you can live the active lifestyle you've always wanted.
Welcome back to the Solid Rock Personal Training Podcast. I'm your host, Coach D, and today I am joined by the one and only Coach Gabriel Schreiber, and we're going to talk to you guys about a better way to do fitness. So a lot of you may not know this about Coach Gabe, but Coach Gabe's background is actually in the sport of CrossFit. So he's going to unpack his background a little bit for you guys, and then him and I are just going to have a jam session talking a little bit about CrossFit, some of these other popular fitness modalities in the marketplace, and then we're going to talk to you about the Solid Rock way. So Coach Gabe, let's go ahead and dive on in, man. I'm super excited to have you on here today and have you talk to the people about your experience and from going from coaching CrossFit to where you're at now at Solid Rock.
Yeah. I mean, I started doing CrossFit when I was in high school. So I was a little boy. I was around 15 years old, and from there it grew into me graduating and me getting an internship at a CrossFit gym. And from there, it just became everything. Did the internship, started coaching, got my level 1, and I've been teaching CrossFit for about the past 3 to 4 years now. And that was just kind of my whole way of thinking. Like, it's all about high intensity. It's all about constantly varied function movements, and everyone else is wrong. Like, this is the way, the truth in life in a way. And that's kind of what CrossFit brings you into a little bit. You're just like, this is the only way to do things. And it's kind of like cultish a little bit, but that's just kind of how they ingrain it into your brain as a brand in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, it's a competitive sport, right? So so for those who aren't familiar with CrossFit, it's how fast can you get something done for time. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or how heavy of a weight you can lift?
How heavy, how fast, and how quickly you can get it done, pretty much.
And for our listeners that aren't familiar with CrossFit as well, you said you got your level 1. What is your level 1?
Yeah, level 1 is just it's their certification process, and essentially it's a weekend course where they take you through lectures and they just teach you exactly what their brand is and how they do their methodology. And at the end of it, there's a little 50-question test, and if you pass, you're officially a trainer after those 2 days. So it's a really rigorous process.
Oh man. So you talk about the methodology. Mm-hmm. I heard you say it earlier, but what is the methodology of CrossFit for those who don't know about it?
So pretty much it's constantly varied functional movements performed at a high intensity. So their sayings are, routine is the enemy. If you do the same thing, if you have a kind of a program lined out, you're limiting your potential for fitness. And functional movements pretty much goes around, if you're doing bicep curls, you're doing it wrong, because their goal is intensity and how much power you can get. So functional movements is just, let's just do as much of the compound lifts as possible and just go as fast as possible. So that's the constantly varied functional movements at high intensity. And most of the workouts that we did in the normal gyms were like 8 to 15 minutes, which kind of threw people off a little bit because they wanted to work a little bit more than that, but it was just so intense. That's kind of how long you could go for before you burned out and everything. So those are like the 3 main aspects to the methodology.
So a lot of variation. That's very popular in the fitness world today. And that's completely different from what we believe actually here at Solid Rock, because if you're always changing things up, varying things, people use the word muscle confusion. Muscle confusion is not a real thing. If you're always mixing it up, how do you ever become a master of something? So, we believe here, like, you need to do the same things over and over again and continually get better at it. Like, if you think of an athlete, like, look at Tom Brady, the best quarterback of all time. He's running very similar plays, practicing the same techniques, and the fundamentals win. So that's something that we believe. You said you did CrossFit for how many years?
I think it was like 6 to 7 years.
6 to 7 years.
Since sophomore year in high school.
Okay, and you said something to me before we jumped on the podcast today. You actually talked about something that you saw in a lot of the members at the gyms you worked at. You mentioned to me that a lot of people were coming in, they were working out really hard, crushing themselves, and they were doing it for years, but they were never losing their gut, or they were never actually getting any results.
Yeah.
And then their technique never got better on things. They never learned to do a pull-up. So, tell me why you think that is.
Yeah. I think the kind of trajectory that a lot of these clients went through was the first month to, anywhere from a month to 4 months, they saw incredible results. Like, some people lost 50 pounds. Some people just got a lot leaner. And that's what happens when you start doing CrossFit. But some of those same members that saw the results in the beginning, they'd work out for 2 more years and they'd still be at 25% body fat. They started around 35 to 40% body fat, but they were never able to reach their end goal. It was also, they got really big progress and then they kind of just depleted a little bit. And you just see members who would, still be using bands for their pull-ups every single workout, and there was no real progression to get people off of that, and people doing the same weights for power cleans and deadlifts for years on end. And because there was no progression or kind of consistency in the programming, people weren't actually getting results. But because they got results in the beginning, they were stuck with it, and they found community, and they were like, this is okay. This obviously works, but it wasn't working for them at that time.
Yeah.
So it kind of kept them in that loop a little bit.
Absolutely, man. So you think all the variation never allowed people to progress because they didn't see certain movements enough in a linear fashion to be able to actually progress through them?
Yeah, I mean, because doing something like a squat cycle or just a strength cycle was foreign to a CrossFit gym. And, I mean, and trying to do it for a class was almost impossible, because if you did it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but Sally and Susie don't show up for 2 weeks, it's they're not going to get the results because they're not there consistently enough. So that was the flaw in kind of that class programming. If they did try to do a cycle, it was hard to stay consistent with just everyone at the gym.
100%. Yeah, and I think every gym's different. We're not bashing CrossFit by any means. I have some friends who own some CrossFit gyms, and they actually do a lot of strength cycles, and they do a phenomenal job with their programming and get incredible results for their members, which is really incredible. So something that's popular as well, not just talking about CrossFit, is high intensity interval training. So plyometrics, as many burpees as you can, as fast, burn as many calories as you can. And then you have CrossFit too. It's these super high intensity modalities do shock people's system. And within that, between 30 and 90 days, they get incredible results.
Yeah.
And then they hit that plateau where they don't get any better. And people stick with it because they saw results in the front end. But the goal of a fitness program is for it to complement, your life outside of the gym. My life shouldn't be in the 4 walls of the gym. I should feel good. I should have energy. My joints shouldn't hurt. I shouldn't be feeling super beat up from my fitness program, because the ultimate goal is to live an active lifestyle.
Yeah.
So one of the things, from my experience that I've seen in the fitness industry is that these high intensity modalities, when we're going in and working as hard as we can all the time, we're depleting our body. And by depleting our body, we actually crave bad food like sugars and all these other things. And then we just go put garbage in our body.
Yeah.
Whereas if we actually slow down, focus on our technique, focus on sustainable work, we're actually more prone to eat healthier because we're not craving as much junk. Therefore, it's more sustainable long term for people to get better results.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your experience from going from CrossFit to coming here to Solid Rock and the methodology that we use here, and the biggest difference that you noticed.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference is the fact that the end goal is an active lifestyle here. I think in a CrossFit gym, the goal is so centered around performance and can you do handstand push-ups or can you do a muscle up, that the idea of we're here to get healthier for outside the gym that kind of goes to the wayside a little bit. And I think because of our goal here being, we're trying to have healthier lives and be the best selves outside the gym, it's like there's almost freedom to, okay, you can't do this overhead, you can't do a certain movement, let's just do something else. It doesn't have to be so dominated around the types of movements, how fast we're going. It's just, our goal is to make you a better, healthier person in general, and whatever's going to serve you in that capacity, we're going to do. So it's more about their end goal versus the goal of competing in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then tell us about the results. If you had to compare the results of the gyms you worked out in the past for members, and then the results that you see members getting here at Solid Rock, what would that comparison look like?
Huge comparison. There's just even seeing all the transformation pictures and the stories that we get to tell here, it's like we'd have maybe 2 or 3 of those at a CrossFit gym. And just to see how many people here at this gym have like consistently seen progress and are like continuing to see progress like after being here for multiple years, it just goes to show how slowing down, doing things correctly is not just, it'll take a lot longer, but it'll get you the results that you need in a healthy manner rather than just this quick, let's just lose 50 pounds in 3 months, but what can we sustain for the long term?
Absolutely. Coach Gabe just hit it on the head. So the better way to do fitness that we're talking about here today is slowing down strength work, focusing on a mind-muscle connection, not using momentum or kipping or anything like that. When you do things strict, you actually target your muscles and you use strength. You don't use your joints. You don't beat and tear up your joints. And then when we're doing like aerobic training, we do it sustainable. We're not sprinting, slamming our head into the wall, trying to kill ourselves. We're making it enjoyable where we can actually continue to do it over time and we don't actually dread going to the gym. I know some of you listening to this podcast that are rockers at Solid Rock, y'all come in here and crush it just because you love to do that. And if that's your thing, you keep doing it. But you know what we preach is slow mind-muscle connection on those strength days and sustainable aerobic work on our endurance days. And people are just getting incredible results. Coach Gabe, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here, but what is one fun fact that our listeners might not know about you?
One fun fact about me. Every Friday for my cheat day, I get Panda Express.
Every Friday for his cheat meal, he gets Panda Express. So that's a tradition, huh?
Tradition.
Man,
gotta have that tradition.
I love traditions. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in with us today. If you like this podcast and you found the content valuable, if you were to share it and rate it, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys for listening.